Whoa! Oh my God, we're live. What the hell?
Why are you?
Oh
You're the one
my
who hits the button.
goodness.
You're the one who hits the button to go live. I don't know
And,
why you're
and
surprised
every
by
week
that.
it takes me by surprise.
If anyone should be surprised, it should be me.
Well, but you're expecting it. I'm not expecting it.
You should have a talk with yourself about that.
I really should. I've been meaning to see 7 or 8 therapists because I don't think one is enough.
Yeah. Get a second opinion, third opinion,
And a third and a seventh, It's a classic.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got a decent amount to talk about. Dude, I have this month is gonna be insane because I'm starting to pack now because I am moving in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Very exciting.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So here's the thing about moving in 2 weeks. Okay? And that is that right now I have tomorrow, Tuesday new Macs come. So I got to get videos on that. Saturday, I'm going to get the keys to my new place. So I'll be there for a couple days. Then I come back. That's when the M3 Max are going to show up on like the 15th. I'm probably going to be late to the M3 Max content because some people are getting them earlier. Some people are getting them a little later. I'm getting them a little later. But I come back on the 15th. I then have 5 days. 5 days, all right, Noah, in which time I have to film all of the content on the M3 Max and vacate the premises.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to keep all of your studio equipment out so you can film all these
Yes.
videos, and then you got to pack it all up.
Yes. So the most difficult stuff to pack, which is my film gear and my editing setup, is also the last thing that I can touch. Literally, I think the day before I move is when I'm going to have to run around like a crazy person.
Ugh, yeah. So wait, so how does it? So you're packing everything up in your place, and then someone's gonna come and like pick it up and move it, and then you're
Yes.
just flying out there.
Yes. So I'm moving everything out, and then there's like almost 2 weeks between then and when I move in. So, yeah, basically I've been working overtime to get some extra videos that I can sprinkle in and and then hopefully be good to go, I suppose.
That's the dedication that we like to see. That's the Luke Miani difference.
Yeah, the Luke Miani difference. It's also self-imposed. I don't realistically need to. There very well may be a fairly sizable gap in content at one point, like very end of November to beginning of December, because I really don't know how long it's gonna take me to like move in and stuff like that. It's gonna take me a while to move out. In fact, if anyone wants an iMac, I have an old 2010 iMac that I need to get rid of it. So I think what I might do is give everyone here the chance, the first dibs. It's a 2010 iMac, I think. I don't even know. I don't know. I think it works, but I don't know if it's fully assembled. Um, and it comes with the classic old keyboard, like the old thick keys Apple keyboard. So if anyone wants that, let's see here. Do we have our submission link that I can put up on screen? I guess I'll just put up an email. We're gonna do this right now. All right, folks. In fact, I think I think I also have a PC that needs to go. And
Ooh.
that PC, I don't even know what the spec is, but let's do it a let's do a little drawing here, okay? I'm gonna give you guys an email address, and tomorrow I'm gonna go to the UPS store and I'm going to ship off the 2010 Mystery iMac and this PC. Now you see, I do also have a Mac Pro, a cheese grater.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, we're gonna do three. We're gonna do three. Okay.
Ooh, this is fun.
I know this is fun. This is a little bit of a fun little. Ooh, if you tune into dark mode, you might accidentally win something. So, I think here's what we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna put an email in the chat here. If you want these things, now, by the way, you got to be in the US. I will pay for shipping. You don't have to pay me anything, but I am not shipping an iMac internationally. It's going to cost $1 billion. Okay. So you have to be based in the US. I'm going to post an email address. Send me an email. Tell me if you want the iMac, the PC. It's like a tower. Not a tower. It's like a custom built. It's like one of the build yourself PC. I don't know the spec, but it's not crap. Okay, I'm pretty sure I might not have a GPU. Total mystery. Literally, no idea. If you want a random PC, I think it's an MATX case with a power supply, a logic board, a CPU, and some RAM. I don't know if there's a GPU. I don't know if there's storage. Okay, so email. Put in the subject line. Do you want the iMac? Do you want the Mac Pro? Or do you want the PC? Okay. And then I know this is a big ask, but you got to trust me. Put a shipping address. Doesn't have to be where you live, just somewhere that you can take mail. And I'm going to pick one and I'm going to send it to you. And if I pick you, I'll respond with a tracking number. How does that sound?
That's very, I mean, you're even paying for shipping. That's pretty nice.
Right? Yeah. Now, I get it. If you don't want to send me your address, I get it. A PO box, send it to your friend. I'm not going to do anything with this. It's a private email address. But boom. There it is.
Ooh, so official.
At gmail.com. I've got it pulled up right next to me. And we're just gonna send some stuff to people. Screw it.
Wow, this feels like a real YouTube show now. We're giving stuff away.
I know. This feels like extremely budget Mr. Beast.
I gave away a 10-year-old iMac. You won't believe what happened next.
I gave away a 13-year-old iMac that I don't remember if it works or not. I'm pretty sure it works. I think I had bought an iMac because I was going to do a display conversion, and then I bought it, but it was a 2010 when it was supposed to be a 2011. And then basically I was just like, well, crap. So I bought another iMac, and I think I put it all back together, but I don't think I ever tested when I put it all back together. So I don't know if everything's all plugged in, but it did work when I got it. Ooh, we're already getting some emails. Look at that. Oh, nice. Man. We're already up. Somebody said they want 2 things. That's not allowed. You can't have 2 things. You can have one thing.
Leave something for the rest of us.
Exactly. Oh man, this is interesting. Somebody said night mode giveaway. That's not even the name of the podcast.
Night mode, come on.
Oh, interesting. Okay. This is actually, they're starting to come in now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 emails already. This is getting
Wow.
interesting. And look at that. It's in the US. I'm so happy because whenever I've done giveaways, I'll end up like picking a winner and then they're like, oh, I'm actually in Romania. And I'm like, well, I can't exactly do that.
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
The Mac Pro is popular. I think that's probably fair because the Mac Pro, weirdly, those things are still pretty expensive.
Huh.
So I cannot remember if this one. I think one of the feet on the Mac Pro got a little battered. I think it's an '09. So it should have a 6-core Xeon. It's a 4,1. It's not a 3,1. So it's like one of the better ones. And I'm just gonna warn you all in advance. If you did submit for the Cheese Grater Mac Pro, um, they do have a they do have a tendency to get destroyed in shipping. Not
Oh
functionally,
no.
but I'll try to do as much as I can. I've got lots of foam and I'll try to pack it up nice and good. But man, those things, the corners. I sold a Mac Pro once, not too long ago, 5 months ago. It was in perfectly good condition. I wrapped the handles are aluminum, right? Those things bend so easily, and the thing weighs so much that people just tend to like push them out the back of shipping trucks, and they just fall on the ground. So it's very hard to ship them. And what happened this time was somebody, I think they told me that they saw it on their Ring doorbell. The UPS person pulled up, just pushed it out the back, and it hit the curb, and it
Oh.
it dented so much that it pulled the graphics card out of the PCI slot.
Oh, yikes.
Like it still worked, but it was bad. Oh my god, I just checked again. Holy cow, there's a lot of emails and they're still coming in.
Really?
All right,
Wow.
look at that. Weirdly enough, so we've got at least 25, 30 emails. Only one person wants the PC, as far as I can tell.
Huh. Well, you know what? See, I feel like that's kind of the strategy, right? Everyone wants the Mac Pro. So if you go for the Mac Pro, you're putting yourself in the pool. Good luck. Hopefully you get it. But if you think this is a Mac channel, who's going to want the PC? You go for the PC,
Exactly.
you're the only person. There you go.
Exactly. You have a way better odds of getting the PC. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I get an email from Noah Rubin. It says the subject line is "Give me everything," and the body text is "I live in Romania." God dang it.
I think you should pick that one.
I guess I'm putting everything in one gigantic box and I'm shipping it. I'm just going to get a postage label that just says Romania and drop it off.
I
It'll
think
find
that'll
its
work.
way to you.
It'll save you a trip. It's just one trip, put everything in a box, and you're done. It's easy. I was trying to help you out. I was trying to make it very easy for you.
Well, you
Not
know
all
what?
these logistics craziness.
I appreciate that, Noah. I really do. I value that. Oh gosh, I don't know how much it's going to cost. Oh, you see, now that we said that, now we get 3 more emails for the PC. Huh. Coincidence?
Mm,
I have to see
I
if
don't know.
are there any doubles here? Oh, there's doubles. Somebody who already emailed for the Mac Pro emailed again for the PC. I see that the emails are the same. I'm not falling for the scam.
You can't have doubles of the computer products.
Yeah, you can't have doubles of the giveaway entries. That's not how this works, all right? We're not doing charity work here. We're doing giveaways. It's kind of charity.
There's a bit. It's a very big difference.
Oh no. No, I just realized something else.
What?
I have another thing to give away.
What's that?
Oh no. All right. You know what, Noah? We're going to go all the way out. Okay? I have two more things I just thought of. I'm going to put the email in here again because honestly, I have so much going on right now that stuff needs to go. All right? And these two things I think people are going to like. And I promise after this we'll start the podcast. Okay. I'm putting in the chat the email again. There's three things that I'm going to give away because Noah just actually wait, I don't have any left. I gave them away.
I mean, I have a lot.
Oh,
So.
do you want to Okay, all right. We're adding on top of this, all right? Folks, call me Oprah Winfrey, okay? Because today we're giving away a lot of stuff. All right. So, we've got a lot of emails to pick through here for the aforementioned Mac Pro, PC Tower, iMac. But I've got some curveball entries here to give away.
Okay.
All right. Thing number one, the Drk Mode, the Genius Bar Goes Dark t-shirts. We have a couple of those left over. So if you want one, send me an email, lukemianibusiness@gmail.com, and we'll send you, we'll send you a Genius Bar Goes Dark t-shirt. How many do we have, Noah?
Oh, just a few, like you
few.
said.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Running low.
All right. We'll pick a couple. We'll pick an address for that. Now, I've got two more late entries. Number one, a 2011 27-inch iMac Logic board. Okay. Just the board.
Okay.
That's all I have. So if you want just a Logic board, it has the GPU. I don't know which one. It has a CPU. I don't know which one. I don't think it has RAM, but it might. So, you know what? It's free. You'll take the chance, see what happens.
Yeah.
So, if you want a 2011 iMac Logic board, email me. Put the subject line as Logic board. And now this last one, Noah, I think people are really going to like.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to widen it up here. All right. This next one's going to break my inbox, okay?
Oh boy. No way. Really?
I do not know what to do with this. I want it. So this is just one of those, it's a tough decision, you know?
Ooh,
Apparently some
yeah.
people are saying my email address is bouncing. Did I put it in right? No, I did put it in right. I guess it's just overloaded right now. But yes, I'm going to be giving away a black MacBook. Okay?
Wow.
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Now, I have to say, this one hurts to give away a little bit. I just don't know. I haven't touched this thing in ages. I love the idea of it, but I don't use it. This thing, I don't know if you can see this. It's in really good shape. Okay? This thing is in pretty darn good shape. It's got the battery. The battery is dead. Does not work. And I if I have time to reset the account, I can give you a fresh install. If not, I'll put a post-it note with the password on it. And the rest is up to you. No charger, just the MacBook. But look at that. That's a black MacBook. I'm pretty sure this is a 2007. I don't know how much RAM. I don't know how much storage. Again, the theme here tonight is this is a fire sale. Stuff's got to go. It's got to get out of here, and it could go to you.
Wow, this is fun. We should do this every week.
I don't know if I haven't enough stuff to give away, Noah.
We'll figure it out. How about that light behind you? You taking that to LA?
You want the light? You want the light? No, I'm just kidding. I'm taking that light. That's a good light.
Oh, it's a good light. I like that light.
Oh, man. I will say we do have some emails about the shirts.
Oh,
we do
nice.
got some emails about the shirts. We have filled up. We have nearly 100 emails now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That is pretty awesome. So this is honestly really great. I am more than happy to send out this stuff for free because it's got to go somewhere, right? Maybe next week I'll give something else away. I don't know. We'll see where I am in terms. Actually, I don't think we're going to be on next week because I'm going to be in an empty apartment with absolutely zero equipment or furniture.
Wait, it's that soon?
Well, so remember I said next Saturday I'm going to get my keys. So I'll be there for a couple days before I'm actually moving.
Oh, you'll be in LA. Okay, I thought you meant you were gonna. Okay, you'll be in LA. It'll be empty. That makes sense.
Yeah, so we won't be on next Sunday, but actually, the Sunday after that, that's the day before I move. So this is going to look a little bit barren the next time you see us. And who knows, maybe I'll have another pile of stuff that needs to go somewhere.
I will be in New York that next Sunday, just
Never mind.
You know. But you can do it with someone else. You can bring Sam on or something.
QVC live show.
Yeah, you should just do this for an hour.
I'll just live stream on my phone and just walk around and say like, "Hey, you want this? Send me an email." Oh my god. Yeah, we'll see. I'm also being asked, will I do another like moving again video? I'll probably end up doing a video when I do move. I do want to do, I have one video planned, which is I want to do my Mac Pro Ultimate Creator Setup video, which is going to be a little bit overshadowed by the fact that the M2 Ultra is already getting smoked by the M3 Max, which reminds me, I think we should probably get into the podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about time.
All right, let's do it. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome to Drk Mode, the podcast that brings you sage advice from two technology experts. And that's not just what we call ourselves. It's what our moms tell people when they win some free mystery Macs for watching the live stream, which if you're listening to this podcast in audio form, that's not going to mean anything to you. But I gave away a bunch of stuff in the pre-show, so you should watch it live. And I'm your host, Luke Miani.
And I'm your host, Noah Rubin. On the show, we take questions from listeners, attempt to answer them to varying degrees of success, and maybe even have a laugh or two along the way, maybe even give away a thing or two along the way, like you mentioned. Oh. Yes, and before we start, I just want to mention that here on the West Coast, it is actually dark mode tonight because of daylight savings ending. So it's actually dark outside, which it has not been
for the first time
for quite a while. Yeah, so it's actually dark mode. It's actually dark for dark mode. It's very exciting.
Oh gosh, yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, Noah. This is one of my least favorite times of the year. Not in terms like the holidays are great. We love that. New Macs coming out is great. We love that. But good gravy. Why does it have to get dark at like 2 p.m.? Who let that happen?
No, I agree. This is like, as much as I say like, oh, you know, it's great that it's dark for dark mode. This is horrible, and I hate it. I have very bad seasonal depression that is definitely going to come up now, and
oh geez,
yeah, not great. We don't love this time.
Yeah, no, it's well. Wait a minute. Am I going to see you over Thanksgiving at the very least? That maybe I can bring you some Xanax or something. I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say some holiday cheer.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll see you on the East Coast.
That'll be fun. And then you'll see me on the West Coast. So don't worry about it, Noah. I'm gonna cure your sad.
Yay. Thanks, I'm cured.
You know what else you could do to cure your sad?
What?
You could get the M3 Max. That's right. I brought it back.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen this. Did you see the benchmarks that leaked? Admittedly, they're Geekbench, but have you seen them?
I heard the upshot. I heard the headlines, but I didn't really look at the numbers too much.
So basically, the M3 Max is scoring identical in CPU performance to the M2 Ultra.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Now, the M2 Ultra was a really, really fast chip. We covered that back in June when that came out, like what feels like 2 weeks ago. And already the Max chip at a lower price point is beating that performance. And it's actually making me realize something, Noah.
What's that?
I think the Ultra chips might be pointless.
Yeah, it's really that diminishing return of just, keep throwing more cores at the problem. It's only going to get you so far.
Well, not even that. Think about it this way. In June, the M2 Ultra came out, and we were like, holy cow, this is way faster than the M1 Ultra. And now already the M3 Max is as fast as that at a lower price point, less power consumption. You can get it in a laptop. So it kind of makes you wonder, what is the life cycle of the Ultra chip? Because, I spent $8,000 on my Mac Pro, and already we have a chip that you can get for dramatically less that is just as fast, at least in one benchmark, in one aspect, right? So maybe it's not completely pointless, but it does beg the question, given that the Ultra chip is always the last of a series to come out, it is by definition not going to have a full life cycle before ostensibly the next lower end version comes along and is faster. So you only get, in this case, 5 months where the M2 Ultra is the fastest chip ever. And then all of a sudden, now it's like, would you go out and buy an M2 Ultra Mac Studio right now, knowing that the MacBook Pro offers very, very similar performance? I wouldn't.
No, you'd wait.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's a little bit strange.
I think that's a really important, the point that you made about the Ultra being the last chip to get the upgrade is really interesting, because on the the other side, it's the consumer base level chip that's always going to be the first one to get it. And I'd argue that that's the one where it's the least important, right? Because if you're talking about a base consumer level chip, I'm not saying it's not important for them to get upgrades and stuff, but these are going into the base consumer level things that people are spending. First of all, they're spending less money on them, so it's less of an investment that they're expecting it to last for a very long time. And are you good back there?
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Just a stray piece of foam. Don't worry about it.
Okay, that's good. So these base level chips are going into the less expensive products, and they're being used by the less.
Got a lot of stray foam here. Hang on. Sorry about that.
I'm getting distracted a little bit. Getting
don't worry
used
about that.
By the more introductory people who don't care as much. Whereas the Ultra chips are going to these very expensive things that are being used by the pros and like the people who need that performance. And I feel like they're the people that are going to care a lot more about their chip going obsolete sooner than the base level chips. So it's just kind of funny on both ends.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. When you're using hello. More stray foam coming in. Don't worry. Look at that. Where's this coming from? This actually, this piece of foam could end up in a box coming to you tomorrow, because I might use this to pack the Mac Pro. So you never know. Look at that.
Wow, it's high quality foam.
Look, if I put the foam here, it's like an end screen, so now you can't see me at all.
That's actually good. I think you should just leave it there for the rest of the show. It's a nicer visual.
This is better.
Yeah. Perfect.
Anyway, that is a very good point, and it's kind of backwards because, I mean, say what you will about Apple's previous Mac Pro iterations, but they did at least sell them as the highest end computer, and they were for a while. Like even the trash can Mac Pro, when that thing came out, it took a couple years before your normal mainstream Macs could actually compete with that. But nowadays, it seems like, if you bought the M1 Ultra Mac Studio, I think we found that the M2 Max was about as powerful as the M1 Ultra. And now the M3 Max is as fast as the M2 Ultra, which means that the M2 Pro is probably not that far off from an M1 Ultra. So you get what? That came out like 1 year ago, a year and a half, the M1 Ultra, and already you can get a Mac Mini with an M2 Pro. In a couple months it'll be an M3 Pro, and that'll be as fast for like $1,300 instead of $5,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess Apple Silicon is making us rethink sort of, how these, where the value is basically. And it seems like with Apple Silicon, the value is really on the lower end, like the lower end, as far the least expensive chip that you can work with is going to be the best value for you. That's what I'm trying to say. If you can make it with the base level chip, stick with that. If you can make it with the Pro, stick with that, whatever. But it seems like those, like the lower you go on the scale, the more value you get. It seems to last, to give the performance that it's supposed to give for longer. Not saying that the upgrades aren't good, but it just seems like you said, these ultra chips are getting replaced or getting superseded so quickly.
Yeah. Now, I will say though that this is at least an anecdotal observation for now. I'm not sure if this is going to be a continuing thing. I was looking, somebody in the chat, I lost it now, but somebody was talking about, oh, well, the M3 Ultra is going to come out soon. And that led me to remember a leak that actually just came out today, I believe, or yesterday, which was that apparently Apple has not started testing the M3 Ultra yet, which is unusual because typically by this point you would expect the M3 Ultra to be in pretty late stages, because when the M2 chip came out in, gosh, what was that? I guess it was a year between the M2 and the M2 Ultra.
Yeah, it was a while.
So theoretically, it's possible that we won't get any new chips for another year.
Yeah, I guess, okay, so someone said in the chat, interesting thought, that they think maybe M3 is a super cycle, and basically sort of saying like, when the M4 comes out, are we going to see the same pattern continue? So are we going to see the M4 Max beating the M3 Ultra, like how we are theoretically seeing right now? And that's an interesting question. It could be a super cycle. It could be that these improvements are outsized relative to what we'll see. Again, it's still pretty early in the Apple Silicon days, so we have more and more data as these chips get released, but it's only the third generation. We haven't even gotten the third Ultra chip yet, so it's still pretty early.
That's true. See, there are a couple of weird things about it, though. I don't know that I agree with the characterization of the M3 series as a super cycle. I think the M3 Max is a super cycle. So let me explain. I pointed out in my video the day of the Apple event last week that the actual M3 chip doesn't seem to be all that much faster. They didn't even quote a difference in performance compared to the M2 chip. They compared it to the M1. Now, I get that in terms of like a practical use, most people aren't going to be going from the M2 to the M3, but you would think that there would be a little bit more of a generation over generation gain. The reason that we see such massive gains on the M3 Max is because it's gaining performance cores. The M3 Pro is not seeing the same gains. I don't even think that the M3 Pro is going to offer noticeable improvements over the M2 Pro. And so I think what we're seeing is not a super cycle, but Apple creating more separation between the M3, the regular, the Pro, and the Max. Because the previous versions, the only differences were the GPU cores. Like they had the same CPUs in the Pro and the Max. But now that's not the case anymore. We actually lost performance cores in the M3 Pro, although they're faster performance cores, so theoretically that makes up for that difference. But in the M3 Max, we're gaining cores. So to me, I like that, honestly. I think that's a good move because obviously I would like to see the M3 Pro, I'd like to see the Pro chips getting faster. Everything should get faster. That's how progress works. But the Max being the highest end of the like ostensibly mobile chips, even though it's also used in the Mac Studio, always was just like a little bit like when it came out, it was fine. Competition from AMD and Intel has really stepped up. And so to me, this feels like Apple saying, okay, we need to offer like a little bit more. We need to basically turn the Max into a higher tier segment, completely separate from the Pro. And that's, I think, what they've done.
Yeah, and so I guess, if that's the case, which I do agree with you, I wonder if the M3 Ultra will be even more of a difference, right? Because if we're saying that the M3 Max compares very closely to the M2 Ultra, I wonder if the M3 Ultra will be even more of a separation. Because if Apple really is trying to separate their chips, which makes a lot of sense, hopefully they'll do the same for the Ultra. And so when that comes out, maybe it'll break. I don't want to call it a cycle because there's only been 2 Ultra chips, but it will really set itself apart as being like the thing that you buy, and it's like almost like an investment. Like you buy that and it's going to last, and it's not going to just, get outclassed the next year.
Right. No, I think that's a good point. I think the Max is very quickly becoming a sweet spot. Like everything that we said earlier about the Ultra is valid. And then with the Pro chip this year, it seems like Apple doesn't really feel a need to make it that much faster, if it's even faster at all. I mean, we'll find out because I'm going to test it, obviously, but it seems like the M3 Max is the good value way to go because you avoid the pitfalls of the really expensive chip that 6 months later is outperformed, and you get yourself something that could realistically last a couple of years. I mean, Noah, you're on the M1 Max. You don't really feel a need to upgrade. I would argue that you made a good call by getting something which was probably a little bit more performance than you needed at the time, but which allows you to keep that thing for longer. Granted, 2 years is not that long.
Yeah, no, I agree. I have literally zero interest in upgrading. I think the thing that will eventually get me to upgrade will be hardware changes. Like if they make, like a redesign, or they bring even the dynamic island is like cool, but not that much of a thing. If there's like a real hardware change, who knows? This could end up being the next 2018 iPad Pro. I still have my 2018 iPad Pro. I don't want to upgrade that thing. Who knows? If they can do some really good hardware upgrades, I think that could convince me. But I honestly think that my M1 Max is going to last me for the work that I do on it. It's going to last me, for a while.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And there was a report not that long ago that Apple was apparently accelerating the timeline for their next major upgrade, in large part because they kind of did 2018 iPad Pro themselves. this generation of MacBook is simply too good. A lot of the people that bought the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, they're not upgrading already. What's going to take, like, you're the perfect example of that, Noah. You're not going to be persuaded by 20% in performance jumps. There are some people who will, but most are not. But what you are going to want is maybe a thinner design, maybe better battery life. Maybe they offer something with an OLED display, stuff like that is what people like you are going to be after.
Yeah, I mean the performance that I get is already plenty. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't even use this computer a ton. Like I use my work laptop at work every work day, and I use my phone a lot. I mean, I don't use this laptop like super often, but when I do use it for, coding personal projects and I guess, this stream that we're doing right now and whatever, it's plenty. It's more than enough. 20% is not going to get me even, if they said it was twice as fast. It's the same thing with the iPad. I could upgrade my iPad to have an M2 in it, and it would be, on paper much faster than the chip that's in there right now. But it doesn't, like, it's not going to mean anything to me. Same with this Mac. I do think, we'll see. It could end up being a 2018 iPad Pro situation. It's such a good computer. I'm really glad that I bought it, right at the beginning of the cycle, and I'm going to hold on to it for a while, and I'm very happy with it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great point, because you don't really need all the performance in the world. I think most people would agree. And what this generation of MacBook offers is realistically the best screen of any laptop, as well as incredible battery life, a system where you never hear the fans, and you have great keyboard I/O build quality. All of that. The package is really what you're buying. If you need the performance, it's there for you. If you need the RAM, if you need the storage, it's there for you. But you could honestly go on eBay right now. And in fact, let's do it. Let's go on eBay right now and see how little we can spend to get in on the current generation. We'll do a 14-inch because I think that's especially interesting given the new M3, the regular M3 14-inch MacBook Pro. Because at $1,599, I mean, first of all, already I've scrolled down 3 listings and there's a 16-inch M1 Pro for $1,500 for a 16-inch in what's considered excellent condition here. And this is a sponsored listing. Those are not usually like particularly outstanding in terms of being really cheap. So like you can already find, dude, the 5th listing is a 14-inch M1 Pro, looks like a base model for $1,200. It's $100 more than a MacBook Air, and you can get something that's probably faster, M1 Pro versus M2, mini LED, Pro Motion. Like it's almost ridiculous how good this generation is. And I frankly don't know why they've depreciated this much,
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, Apple keeps putting them out. And like, to be clear, I'm not going to upgrade my computer, but I always love seeing, it's great to see the new chips and the new updates that come out, because I know that eventually I'll get all those improvements when I upgrade. But yeah, I don't know. I guess like Apple keeps putting them out. I guess it just causes the depreciation, but like those entry levels are still great. Those first gens.
Yeah. I'm looking now on eBay here. We're going to see what we can find. Now there are some cheeky sneaky listings when you sort from low to high. We're finding some M1 stuff instead of M1 Pro, which, it is what it is. Noah's got to run for a quick second here, but we're going to just keep looking at this because I want to see at what point we start to find an actual M1 Pro MacBook Pro that's good, that's not, broken. Like this one here looks like it's iCloud locked for $800. I'm not going to do that. We're not spending $800 on an iCloud lock. And eventually we should be able to find, we're getting close to 1,000. It looked like that $1,200 listing was pretty good. Here's one actually for $1,100. All right, we'll share this tab instead. So $1,100, the exact same price as a MacBook Air. Condition looks okay. It has a little bit of a dent on the lid and a little bit of some light scratching. Nothing too bad. But look at that. That's got to be a base model, right? Yeah, 512, 16 gigs. Base model M1 Pro, $1,100. That's an insane deal. I mean, it doesn't matter what the internals are. That display, the battery life, the design, that alone justifies $1,100. No question.
Looks like a nice computer.
The question will be, is the M3 14-inch going to be as popular? Because it's controversial. People are kind of hemming and hawing as to whether or not, I've seen a lot of disagreement whether or not that thing is going to be a good value.
Yeah, I think I like the fact that they replaced the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. The one, the old Touch Bar MacBook Pro, that was stuck out like a sore thumb. It was the very old design. It had the Touch Bar, for crying out loud. I'm glad that that's gone. And I guess Apple decided they had a MacBook Pro with the base level chip in it. And I guess they wanted to keep a MacBook Pro with a base level chip in it. And so they put it in the 14-inch MacBook Pro. They put the base level chip in the 14-inch. And I think, first of all, it's a huge upgrade in terms of the the hardware, the screen, with the notch and the what's it called, the ports and the I/O, and that the whole pro experience is much more pro on those computers. But it did get, what is it, $100 more expensive than the Touch Bar? Is that right?
300. Yeah.
I think the hardware upgrades that you get are probably worth $300, but the question is, was that MacBook Pro, even the Touch Bar MacBook Pro, even worth getting when it existed? I don't really think so. And is
Great
this
point.
one that's what, $1,599 with the base level chip, is this one even worth getting? It has great hardware, but it's that base level chip. It's a little bit, it's definitely a question.
That's a really good point, because the comparison to the M2 MacBook Pro, it's kind of a false comparison, because yeah, it's $300 and you get a lot more, but the M2 MacBook Pro is a bad deal to begin with. So it's kind of a zero sum comparison, right?
Mhm.
Now, the single biggest thing that is bothering people, including me, is 8 gigabytes of RAM. $1,600 for a machine with 8 gigs of RAM. That's tough. And the argument that I've seen is that most people who buy that aren't going to notice. And that's probably true. I know lots of people who bought the $2,000 14-inch MacBook Pro that came standard with 16 gigs. And yeah, frankly, they didn't need it. They just, watch YouTube videos. They didn't even know what ProMotion or Mini LED is. They just like that it looks nice. But in my opinion, I don't think that really excuses it. It can be true that people won't notice it and that it's disappointing at the same time, because it's called a MacBook Pro. If it's called a MacBook or a MacBook Air, doesn't matter. Does not matter. The RAM is not important to people that buy a MacBook Air. You can absolutely use a MacBook Air for serious tasks, but the direct target audience isn't going to know. The MacBook Pro, though, is being targeted towards professional users. And so I just don't know. Well, I'll definitely be doing some tests, and we're going to see if the 8 gigabytes of RAM becomes an issue. I don't think it's something that most people are going to notice that much because Apple Silicon uses swap memory, but you are going to be using quite a bit of swap memory. I mean, I have a MacBook Air. I have two 8 gigabyte MacBook Airs. They are absolutely, without swap memory, it would be a little tough. So there's another issue though that I wanted to point out. Let's share the configurator here for the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Okay, so first of all, $300 more than the outgoing M2. We do get double the storage at 512. So quite frankly, if this came with 256, I would say, no go, not happening. The 512 does help it a decent amount. But again, only because Apple charges an extortionate amount for storage. It should realistically have a terabyte for $1,600 if you compare it to literally any other manufacturer. But this is Apple land. I get it. The issue becomes if you want to rectify that 8 gigabyte issue and you up it to 16, that puts you at $1,800. That is $200 less than the M3 Pro version of the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Now, what does that get you? That $200 actually gets you quite a bit. If we go over and we build that out, here's the same thing, right? $19.99 instead of $17.99. But you get an additional Thunderbolt 4 port. You get, obviously, a faster processor. It doesn't really matter if the M3 Pro is faster than the M2 Pro. It is definitely faster than the M3. You also get 2 extra gigabytes of RAM because for some reason you get 18 gigs with this. And you get theoretically a beefier cooling system because it has 2 fans instead of 1 fan. Not that that super matters, but I think that's a decent amount of stuff to get for your extra $200.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's 200 extra dollars, and you're getting when you pay that $19.99. That's the price that the MacBook used to start at before they had the MacBook Pro used to start at before they had the the non-Pro chip, before they had the M3, back when the MacBook Pro actually had always had Pro chips in it. They started at $19.99, and I think it really gets confusing with these lower the M3 base chip in the Pro, because it starts to get into MacBook Air territory. The MacBook Pro with the base chip is a bit more expensive than the MacBook Air, but it still just seems kind of weird to me. Like, I understand that the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar had a base level chip in it, but that was very clearly a last generation design, a last generation product that they put Apple Silicon into. It was more of like a holdover product than anything. And I feel like, when they introduced this new design for the MacBook Pro, it did not have the base level chip in it. And I think that was for a reason, or I thought that was for a reason, but it seems like now Apple is doing it. And it just doesn't. I kind of figured that the Touch Bar MacBook Pro would get killed off eventually, but not that they would put the base level chip in the MacBook Pro. I thought that they would keep the Pro chip in the Pro and the base chip in the base computer, especially since these computers are actually very similar now. The designs are very similar. The port situation is fairly similar. Obviously, the Pros have more, whatever. I thought that they would want to keep the separation a bit more, but I guess not.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. But in a way, it does clean up the lineup. I get that about the separation, but now you basically just have, it's that great, it goes back to Steve Jobs, the 2x2 marketing grid. Remember that? Did you learn about that in business class at one point?
I learned about it in Luke Miani class.
Yeah, it's a better class anyway. Basically, Steve Jobs' whole idea with Apple in the late 90s was they had so many products for no reason. When you go back and look at, in fact, let me see if I can pull this up here because I think it's very interesting. If you go back to archive.org, we're going to go look at the Apple homepage. Okay. And in typical dark mode fashion, I'm making a very simple point, very complicated by going onto the Internet Archive and going way back to 1997 to show you what the homepage looked like. Well, we'll go back to 96 because that's well before Steve Jobs had any input on this. And I haven't seen what this is going to look like, but I suspect, yes, it's a mess. All right, let me share this tab. Here's now, granted, it's not working super great. We're not loading any images, but the Apple homepage in 1996 was a mess. I mean, look at all this text. A lot of text. And we have a product information tab. Let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, it's not logged. This is very early days of Apple website. There's only 2 archives for all of 1996. All right, here we go. April 97 is working a little bit better. You can see there's a lot going on this website. There's corporate updates, there's Apple Share IP, there's Schools Choose Mac. They've got news on here. They've got merchandise on the Apple online department store. What the heck is that? What is that? There's so much like cross branding. There's the Newton, the eMate 300. Look at that. Like, it's kind of a mess here. Wouldn't you agree?
It is it is a lot going on there. I wish we could see the product lineup. I guess maybe it's not archived.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've got anything. I mean, quite honestly, why is it this hard to find the oh, look, they have an Apple registration sweepstakes. Could you imagine? This is so un-Apple in the modern sense. The Boston Mac Party. Parents of school-age children have a limited time special opportunity to purchase Apple's exciting eMate 300 mobile computer at promotional prices. Wow.
They would never say that. A limited time offer for a promotional, exciting and a promotional whatever. It sounds so much not like Apple.
Let me see if I can click on a product page here. No, it's not. We're not getting anywhere with this. But if I go back to the main page here and we go to, let's say, 1999, okay? This is when we now have Steve Jobs is back. He's running the show. I don't know I mean, dude, look at how different this is already. Like, this is before, I think the iMac had just come out. Yeah, they've got iMac now in 5 dazzling colors. The Power Macintosh G3. Look at how much more clean this website is.
And it even sounds like when they say like iMac now in 5 dazzling colors, that literally sounds like it could be the 2021 iMac or the new, well, I guess it would be the 2021, but it literally sounds like that could be from, today, like modern Apple.
And like when we click the product page, which does actually work now, look at the difference in like the product photography is clean and simple. We've got a simple drop-down menu to find different products. There's software. Some of this stuff, Claris works. We do have some holdovers from the 90s here and peripherals, but it's so much cleaner. It's so much more. I mean, look at even the menu here. This all black product menu, really, really similar to what we have now.
Yeah, and just the copy, like the way that the text is written, the amount of text, like, yeah, it all definitely, you can tell it's much closer to modern Apple.
And the point that I was originally making that I forgot about was
Yes.
what makes the current MacBook lineup similar to that is simplification. Steve Jobs' whole thing was like, we have way too many products. It's confusing. It's a mess. Nobody knows what they're doing. So what we need to do is have a 2x2 grid. In the late 90s, that was portable, desktop, and consumer professional. So you have the iBook, that's the consumer portable. You have the PowerBook, that's the professional portable. You have the iMac as the consumer desktop and the Power Mac as the professional desktop. That's it. That's exactly what the current MacBook Pro and MacBook Air lineup is. You have small or big, consumer or pro, 2x2, easy peasy.
That's true. I feel like the consumer is the 13 and 15-inch Air, and the Pro would
Yep.
be 14 and 16-inch Pro, right? Pretty obvious. I just wonder, I'm not saying that there isn't a place for the M3 MacBook Pro, but but there is a, there's the 13-inch MacBook Air would be more of the consumer portable than the Pro with the M3 in it, I feel like.
Right. Well, so the M3 Pro is kind of a bridge because I think what Apple realized was before you kind of had that 2x2 grid when they introduced the 15-inch MacBook Air, right? But the 13-inch MacBook Pro didn't really do anything for anyone. It wasn't really pro, it wasn't really consumer. There wasn't a purpose for it. Right now, though, the M3 MacBook Pro, I think, has a much clearer purpose because it gives you the Pro system without that massive price tag, $2,000, right? $1,600. It's not cheap, but it does give you that option for the person who might, let's say you're a professional photo editor. That device is laser targeted for you because you don't really need a shit ton of performance. Okay. You don't need an M3 Max for Photoshop or for Lightroom, but you really might enjoy that mini LED display. That is what you're buying. It's for the pro that needs maybe they need the ports, maybe they need an SD card slot, maybe they need that display, but they don't really need something that's an absolute screamer. I think it does make sense for a lot of people, more so than the old M2 MacBook Pro, which made sense for no one, basically.
Okay, that is definitely fair. I completely agree that the new MacBook Pro, the M3 MacBook Pro, makes a lot more sense than the Touch Bar. The Touch Bar never really made sense. I don't think that ever really should have stuck around.
Why did they sell it?
There was no reason, especially with the M1 MacBook Air sitting right next to it. There was no reason for that thing to exist. So I completely agree. And I think that the point you made is really good about it being for people who need the Pro hardware, but maybe they don't need the Pro chip. And the thing that I was thinking about from maybe 20 minutes ago when we were talking about some other topic was, I guess it was about upgrading. I was saying how I'm not going to upgrade my Mac because I don't need the performance upgrade. But meanwhile, so I was thinking, like, what's going to make me upgrade? Well, probably a hardware change. And then I was thinking, well, that's the same thing with the iPad, right? The iPad Pro, the performance is already good enough for me. It's the hardware change, whatever that might be, that would get me to upgrade. And then I was thinking, my phone, I upgrade my phone every year, but that's because they do something with the hardware every year. This year it was titanium and the action button and USB-C and whatever. And then the Apple Watch, I had the Series 5 and I waited to upgrade until the Ultra because it was a big hardware difference. And so I think along those same lines, this MacBook Pro kind of lets you get that Pro hardware, lets you move into that, that level without having to spend all the money for the performance. So I think it's for people like photo editors, like you said, it's great, but also for people who want that pro level hardware, whether it's that they just want to have it because they want the best hardware, or they will actually, legitimately benefit from having, more color accurate screen or whatever it might be. So I think it does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense.
That's a great way to think about it. And I think that's something that on all other aspects of Apple technology, we don't really talk about performance, right? Okay, people do benchmark the iPhone, but let's be honest, it's all vanity metrics. It doesn't matter. Nobody out here, I guarantee that nobody out here is upgrading their iPhone because it's slow. And I'm going to say that for almost any iPhone because they have been so fast for so long that your battery's going to die, your phone's going to get stolen by a wild boar. Like, all of those things are going to happen before it feels slow, right? You might go to jail for 50 years and come back and your iPhone isn't going to feel slow. Same thing with the iPad. Granted, there is a difference in software there, right? The software for iOS and iPadOS, the stuff that you're going to do doesn't really demand all that much performance. Whereas on the Mac, you definitely can get to the limits of its performance. But that's only for a certain subset of people. I think, to your point, you are someone for whom performance is not really a factor, be it your iPhone, your iPad, or your MacBook. Those hardware changes are what keep people coming. And I think Apple realized that with the iPhone. That's why we don't have the S anymore, right? All of a sudden you notice, well, we have almost every year something changes about the design. It might not be a major change. Maybe the camera bump gets a little larger. They change the colors. Dynamic Island gets introduced. Next year, make it a little rounder. Give it a new material. Like, they're not major, but those hardware things, that visible difference really does sell people. And the products that don't have those visible differences, the Mac, the iPad, those are the ones that Apple seems to be struggling with the most in terms of year-over-year sales.
Yeah, and I think that whole point about the S models is a great point because I remember it was great to be when you were on a 2-year cycle of the non-S models, right? So like get the iPhone 4, skip the 4S, get the 5, skip the 5S, get the 6. I mean, I ended up getting the 6S as well, but then I skipped the 7 because the 7 honestly kind of felt like a
6SS.
S. Yeah. And then, but I definitely agree. I mean, then there was the 10. I got the 10. I skipped the 10S. I also skipped the 11, which was, a decent upgrade. But then I got the 12. And since the 12, I've been getting it every year, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I definitely agree. Like, they got rid of the S models because, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a lot of it is just marketing. It's just the thing that they're going to call it. But you know what I mean? Like, at the same time, they could have called, they had the 12. They could have called the 13 the 12S if they really wanted to. There were some solid upgrades. Don't get me wrong. The ProMotion display was a solid upgrade. Whatever. They could have called it the 12S. At that point, it's kind of marketing. But I think it's smart that they didn't, because when they had those S models, it was very easy to skip. The S stands for skip. It was very easy to skip that year and go on the next year. And now that they don't do that, it's easier to say, oh, I'm going to upgrade. It's a whole number. It's not just a half step.
Yeah. And to be quite fair, all of the things that you mentioned that made the 13 a pretty big upgrade, you could also say of features in the old S models. Like the 5S, that got a lot of updates. That was a great phone, Touch ID, the A7 chip with 32-bit or with 64-bit performance. That was back in the day where performance did matter, right? And like, I can't even remember. Oh, the True Tone Flash came out that year too.
Yep. Yep.
You know, there were decent upgrades for the 5S, but it looked the same. And eventually, by the time we get to like, I guess it was by the time we got to the 11 series where Apple was like, okay, you know what? This isn't working. If we really want to sell phones every year, all you have to do is not like be so dead set on keeping the exact same chassis. Remember, they wouldn't do anything to the cameras because it had to be the same size camera. They couldn't like all of the cases that fit the 5 fit the 5S, fit the 6 fit the 6S, fit the 10 fit the 10S, right? All of that stuff. But the 10S was the last time they were like, okay, look, people aren't interested in buying the same thing that they already had if, you know, the camera's a little better or it has some cool new feature. The feature doesn't sell it. It's got to look different.
Yeah.
And it's harder to do with the laptop though. The R&D to change up an iPhone chassis with something that's that high volume, I guess that makes more sense to do than for the Mac. But they've been on a 4.5, 5 year cycle with the MacBook for a long time now. I don't think that's going to change, but I think Apple was considering from the recent report, they had been considering taking their time with the update. But I think they're realizing now, okay, obviously you're not going to get people to buy a MacBook every year. But if you want them to buy it every 3 years instead of every 5 years, you can do that by changing the design more frequently. And that's probably what they're going to do. I hope.
Yeah, and I feel like, they have to change the design more frequently. That's the new design, some new external like visible feature is what's going to get more people to upgrade. But it is also, I would say, a bit harder or probably even a lot harder to do on a laptop than on a phone, like you said. I
Mhm.
feel like, if you look at the iPhones of the past few years, what has changed? The notch is a big one. That we had the notch, and then the notch got smaller, and then it became the dynamic island. And they
Yeah.
could absolutely do that on the Mac too. They could make the current notch smaller. They could turn it into a dynamic island as well. It won't have as much of an impact because the notch is so much smaller relative to the screen size than it is on an iPhone. People will notice the difference, absolutely, but it's not that much of an impact. It's not like you're realistically saving little to no space. Same with the dynamic island, right? The dynamic island is great on the phone because it, lets you put some things up in there. It like, keeps your timers and your playback and whatever up in there, because the screen real estate is a bit more of a challenge on the iPhone because you have a smaller screen. On the Mac, you already have your music player in the menu bar that's always accessible up there. Like, you can stick things in the menu bar. You can have as many windows on the screen as you want. You can make them really small and put them wherever you want. I'm not saying it wouldn't be good, but it doesn't make as much of a difference. Same thing, like, if they want to round the corners more or make the corners flatter or like whatever, it's just harder to have a meaningful change that's not like a redesign. You know what I mean? Like, the past few iPhones have
Mhm.
had meaningful changes without being complete redesigns. I feel like it's a bit harder to do that on a laptop.
That's true. Very true. And another thing that they're going to have to deal with is, I mean, what do you even change? Like, I think we may well see ourselves in a iPad situation. Not to the same extent, because the issue with the iPad isn't just that they haven't changed anything, it's that there is nothing to change. It's iPad OS. You can't make it faster, can't really make it do all that much more without it feeling like weird and software gimmicky. Um, if it looks different, so what? It's still limited by software. The Mac doesn't have that degree of limitation, um, especially given that making it faster is a legitimate reason to upgrade it. However, I think the issue that they might have is if they were to do a redesign. Let's brainstorm. What is there to do? Speakers a little better, maybe look a little nicer. I, some new design that I can't think of that I would like when I see it. Make it thinner, put an OLED display on it. Like, what else is there to do?
I don't know. I mean, like thinner and lighter would be nice, but you know, if you really care about that, you might want to get a MacBook Air instead. Like if you really, really care about thin and light, you get a MacBook Air. But if you have the Pro, it would be nice to be a bit thinner and lighter. If they put the dynamic island, you know, I don't know if there's rumors or just, you know, logical conclusion, but like, you know, it could be cool. I will say that the current notch is kind of big. I don't really notice it when I'm just using the computer, but maybe they could do something there. They could bring back
Face
they could bring
ID.
Face ID would be. I was about to say the illuminated Touch ID, like in your leak from a while ago, but Face ID would definitely be very nice. Very nice too.
Bro, if they made it have expansion cards like the old PowerBook G3, game over. That'd be great.
Keep dreaming.
I know. I mean, that's the thing is I could dream. I can think of some really great things, but they just never would do that. Like expansion, modification, you know, some card that you could plug in to do something like that. There's ways that they could definitely do it, but they're not realistic. When you think of realistic things that Apple would do, make it thinner, give it, I don't know, better screen. Screen's already pretty good though. You know, I think it's going to be challenging for them, but that's good. You know, I would rather be in a situation where I'm sitting here going, wow, these things are so good. I don't know what they could do to make it better than the situation we had before, which was, oh my God, these are unusable. The keyboards are bad. The thermals are bad. They aren't fast enough. They're too expensive. Yeah, I'm very happy to be where we are now compared to where we were in 2019. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's like, believe me, I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with this Mac. I'm happy that it'll last for, realistically, it'll last for as long as I want it to, which is whenever Apple releases some, you know, noticeable hardware improvement. So I'm definitely happy about that. But Apple has their work cut out for them, just like with the iPad Pro, definitely with the MacBook Pro as well.
But I'll tell you who doesn't have their work cut out for them, and that's us, because we're going to be off for the next 2 weeks.
Actually, maybe 3.
Uh-oh.
That's up to you, I guess.
December 3rd?
Well, okay, so next week you're off. The week after that, I'm in New York. The week after that, I am in Philly area. So it depends if you want to try to do something with me there.
That's a very good point. I had forgotten about that. So yeah, the Sunday of the 26th, I will be homeless. I'll be sort of a wandering vagrant, which, by the way, I continue to realize how weird that's going to be, because I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, do I ship my filming equipment with my moving? I think I have to. I don't know that it basically comes down to how much stuff do I want to keep with me as I'm like sort of living out of a suitcase for 10 days and then bring on a plane with me to LA. And then stuff will show up a couple days. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, what a mess.
Yeah, you're going to have to sit down and figure out those logistics.
Because the problem is if we do, I would like to do something on the 26th, but that also means I have to carry podcasting equipment around as part of my, like, you know, I'll have to put it in a handkerchief and tie it to a stick to put over my shoulder like a hitchhiker in a 1930s cartoon.
That'd be pretty heavy to carry on your shoulder like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you could put an SM7B in a handkerchief on a stick.
Yeah, I might just rip the handkerchief.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So you know what? Let's say December 3rd. That's a long time, I know. We're gonna be off for a month. Oh man.
We'll see. Maybe we can do something. Maybe it'll be pre-recorded. Maybe it'll be something a bit shorter. Maybe we can. Well, we can try
Maybe
to do
we'll figure
something in the
something out
meantime.
for the 26th. I don't know, man. We'll see. We won't make any promises, but if I can figure out a way where there's a will, there's a way. But it's actually okay because, according to Slick here in the comments, this show was lame and boring anyway. So I guess we might as well
Oh,
just never come back.
okay. Yeah, that's fine. We can just shut it down, dump it.
Yeah, dump it. This was garbage. Dump it. That was a great use of that. Well
Yes,
done.
very, very accurate.
Unfortunately accurate as well is we'll see you next month. Yikes.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it do be like that. Anyway, I've been your host, Luke Miani.
And I've been your host, Noah Rubin. Have a great night.